Welcome. You are listening to Share Giving Secrets with Deborah Greenhut. If you are a family caregiver or expect to be one, and you want to maintain your well-being while caring, then you are in the right place. I am your host, Deborah Greenhut, speaker, author, and rational caregiver advocate. I'm a family caregiving veteran, bringing you survival secrets and experiences from experts who share the goal of doing less by managing more. We need to invent and reinvent family care, and together we're going to do it. My big idea is rational caregiving, and my motto is, let your brain lead your heart. Please share yours in the comments. Share Giving Secrets, because friends don't let friends be caregivers alone. Let's do this. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Share Giving Secret. I'm delighted to welcome multi-time author Carey Conley, who has a very special angle on supporting caregivers, a particular group of caregivers who are having not the best of times these days. Carey, hello, it's great to see you today.
Great to see you, Deborah. Thanks for having me.
My pleasure. So let's get right on it. You are looking at creating support systems for young adults, and you've developed your own organization, you've written several books, and you are doing a great job of contributing to this often overlooked population. So could you begin by telling us a bit about your why for starting in on this project?
Well, it's a long story, but I'll be brief as much as I can. I'm known as a vision expert, Deborah. So what I do is I help people get a very clear, powerful vision on paper like they've never written before, because when you have a strong vision, it gets you anchored in your purpose, right? And when you're anchored in your purpose, it helps you get through a lot of things. And I wrote my first vision when I was in my late 20s because at the time, it was the 80s, Deborah. So we were all told, go get the degree, go get the job, work there till you retire kind of thing. And I was not doing that very well. I was changing jobs every 2 years. And so I had a mentor who came into my life and said, Carey, you can create your life to look however you want it to look. You just need to get really clear on what that is. And so when my late 20s, I wrote out my first vision statement about my life in great detail. And because I did that, I was able to then start creating my own business from home when we started having kids, and started becoming a leader and teaching vision to other people because it worked for me. So, this was over 30 years ago, well over 30 years ago. So fast forward to now, I have taught it to thousands of people, and that's why I keep teaching it now and why I want to teach it to young adults.
I love that idea that it's simple, really. You can have whatever life you want as long as you can describe it. And it sounds simple on the surface, but I bet it's probably not.
Well, the hard part is nobody will take the time to sit down and write it unless I make them.
I bet you're good at it
I
too.
am. Yeah.
Yeah, well, you need a taskmaster, I've found, in helping other people set goals because
Yeah.
they just don't wanna,
Right.
too
Yes.
hard.
Yeah.
And I guess that is particularly an issue for young adults today because they seem to be facing a perfect storm of financial, emotional, relational, and mental health stressors that make it very hard.
Yeah.
So from your perspective and the research that you've gathered, what are the most critical support structures this age group is missing, and what do they most urgently need from the adults in their lives?
Um, well, first of all, they need to be told that it's okay to create their own life. Unfortunately, we still have a culture that does not teach that very well. We still have that culture that says you're going to go to school and get the good degree and get the good job. And so they have not heard it unless they are really into personal development, follow people like me and other thought leaders, right? So they need to know they can, and they need somebody that can tell them it's okay. And then they're going to have the support they're going to need, like I needed, Deborah, is they're going to need people around them that believe in their vision. And that's also very challenging. Case in point, when I decided to become an entrepreneur, my first industry that I jumped into was network marketing with a company called Arbonne.
Mhm.
And at that time, network marketing was very like taboo, right? All of my friends, including my family and those really close to me, thought I was crazy. So you got to really find those people that believe in your vision. They're going to support you, especially on the days that you want to quit. And
Yes.
there'll be lots of them because not only are going to people be peer pressuring you, you're going to go through a lot of rejection and self-doubt while you're growing.
Mhm.
And so you need to have those people. And I had a lot of them, especially when I was in the company that I was in, reminding me, you know what, you got this. Just keep going. So you need to know that you can, and you need to have the people around you that will keep telling you that.
Yeah, so important. I know my first occupational conversation with my mother occurred when I was 8 years old. And I said I wanted to be an author. And she said, "You're not going to make any money." It's not very
Yeah, see,
encouraging.
our parents, they just love us so much. And they don't do it from as they're trying to shut you down or whatever. They do it because they don't understand your vision and it scares them and they feel like you're about to make a big mistake,
Hmm.
right?
Well, my
Um,
mom was not wrong about authors not making too much money at the time. So I have to look back and say, well, she had a point. But
well, there's two types of authors.
yeah.
There's authors that are New York Times bestselling. They get paid. Everybody else, it's pretty much a labor of love.
That's right. And I know you've been through the experience of
Yeah,
writing several times over, so you have
yeah,
a lot to share on that subject too.
yeah.
Let's get back to the young adults then. You are building a new community specifically for young adults in their 20s and early 30s. Where is this community and what can you tell me about it?
Well, they're all over the place, but I would tell you, it's been on my heart for a really long time, Deborah, and I'll share now that um, I lost my 25-year-old son to suicide 8 years ago, and prior to that, my husband also to suicide 3 years before him. And so I had started talking about this young adult community actually before my son even passed. And then after he passed, it's become like a mission for me. It's like the legacy I want to leave.
Mhm,
And because of that, I have a podcast called, oh my gosh, it went right out of my head, Mental Health Breakthroughs for Young Adults and Their Families.
mhm,
And when I shifted the podcast into that title, I ended up attracting young adults and putting some of them on my podcast with me.
great.
So it's been up to this point, it's been kind of organic. They find me on Instagram. They find the podcast. I am friends with a lot of them. And I kind of did a focus group over the summer where I did a couple calls with 10 or 20 of them that I have in my life over the summer to kind of test out what the community would look like for them and how I could support them.
Mm.
Right. So we will next year make it more of an intentional business strategy around how we find them, how we attract them, bring them in, and what we do with them after that. But I have a vision of bringing in a lot of experts to teach them on these different topics you were talking about: money, relationships, mental health, stress, all the things.
That's fantastic. And I understand it's still a family affair though, because there's another person in your family who's working with you. Can you tell us a bit about your collaborator?
Uh, which one are we talking about?
Well, then tell me about all of them.
Well, my daughter, of course, for a while, when we co-authored our book, Keep Looking Up,
Mhm,
she and I started speaking together.
mhm,
And that was really great because she's a great speaker and we have different perspectives, right? That we share on vision and life because of what we've been through and where she's at. But she now has two crazy little boys and is pregnant with baby girl on the way. So she's not much of a collaborator with me anymore.
No time, no time.
Correct. Yes.
Yeah.
But
Well,
I
it's
have
great
some.
that that you had that experience of co-authorship. I think that's the lovely way to explore both your relationship and publishing at the same time.
You know what? It was a great experience, Deborah, because we had a ghostwriter. So
Mhm,
what we would do is we would meet with the writer every other week or so, and we would talk out the chapter. And Laurel would give her perspective, and I would give mine, and
mhm.
that's how the book is broken up each chapter, right?
Oh,
Of my thoughts on it, her thoughts on it. So it's 11 chapters of what we learned in our journey that helped us
mhm.
and how it can help other people because so many people, Deborah, were coming to us saying, how in the world are you guys still doing what you're doing? And what helped you? And a lot of people coming forward saying, I have a friend going through some hard stuff and I need to know how to help them. And so that book gives a lot of ideas around how you can help people.
That's great. And I'm sure it was a nice springboard for thinking about the patterns that you might have seen in the generation that you're trying to help, to have that dual dialogue. Um, what are some things that caregivers, especially parents, can do to create that space where young adults feel safe asking for help?
Wow, we could talk all weekend on that subject. So, um, I think first and foremost, it's really important that parents understand that they have their own life to live.
Mhm. Hmm.
Unfortunately, a lot of us put our own stuff onto them of what we would like them to do, how we would like them to handle things, especially again if we think they're going into something that's not typical, right? Like me going and selling lipstick. um, so especially I think unfortunately in our world, the way our structure, especially in America, is that it's very success and money driven. And I
Mhm.
think it's very hard on people who skew more creatively, right? Like you being a writer, wanting to be a writer, right?
Yeah.
My son was very much like that. He ended up working for a news station in Arizona when he came out of college for 3 years. And so he was behind the camera and behind a computer a lot. And I think he would have preferred to be direct and being in front of it. So, but I think he was afraid to make that shift. And I think there's a lot of young adults, I know this because I talked to them, that they have a whole other dream in mind, but because it seems scary or outside of the box to everybody else, it's hard for me to make their shift. So I think as parents, as they come into their adult lives, we have to really understand that the ultimate thing is we want them to be happy and mentally strong and following their own path.
Their own vision.
Yeah,
Absolutely. Yeah, I think that is tremendously important. And you don't understand how much of, I think, unless you think about it a lot as a parent, you don't understand how much of an effect you have on your children. So,
I would agree.
I mean, I certainly made a few different leaps when I got into my 40s and 50s and said, I'm not doing that anymore. I'm doing
Right,
something else now.
right,
But it isn't always safe, as you say.
right.
Now, you said that a powerful vision becomes the anchor in all of life's storms, to
Mhm.
have that behind you. And how does vision work actually stabilize young adults when they're having a mental health challenge, though? I can see how it would help if you're trying to choose a career and so on, but if you're facing adversity or uncertainty, how can caregivers and other mentors use that vision or learn about that vision enough to help support their young people?
Sure. Um, again, it's just articulating what's coming from your heart and onto paper, right?
Mhm.
Instead of it being following the path everybody else. So you get this written vision and start sharing it with people that you know will support you, right? But here's why I say that it becomes an anchor in all the storms. And so I have a third book that we just launched this year called Unshakable: Stories to Anchor You Through Life Storms. I was going to write that whole book myself, and then I decided, no, I'm not. I'm going to get 19 other authors and
Mhm.
me to write a chapter on how having what adversity they went through in life, Deborah. So they all had different stories, which was really unique. Men
Mhm.
and women and couples. Some was medical, some financial, some mental, a lot of things, right? And what they wrote about was the adversity, but they also wrote about the anchor for them that got them to the other side. And a lot of them talked about how excited they were of seeing a different vision for their life than where they were at right now.
Mhm.
And that's why I say that it really it ends up giving people like light at the end of the tunnel, gives them hope. When I get people literally in front of me in an all day workshop where I make them write their vision out, Deborah, the thing I ask them next when it's written is, how do you feel about writing that? And
Mhm.
most of them will say, this was very inspiring. I see a glimmer, right? I now know what I want to go after and how to reverse engineer that. So I've got some actual steps to take on a
Mhm.
timeline.
Excellent.
And but it also surfaces a lot of, can I do this? A lot of doubt, a lot of, will I get, all the things. But if that vision is something that you want like air to breathe, it's going to keep you going even on the really tough days.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Are there any particular coping strategies that you've learned from these stories that you gathered that young adults say they wish they had known about before they started on this journey? And maybe how could families reinforce some of those messages at home?
Right. So coincidentally, not if I'm right, that collaboration of books did so well
Mhm.
that I'm now in process of doing another one called Unshakable: Stories of Wisdom and Strength for Young Adults. And so what I'm wanting those authors to now write about is what they would have told their 25-year-old self that would have got them through whatever challenge they were going through at the moment. Or maybe you've got some wisdom that you want to impart into them that they will listen to and help them get through the tough times, right? I think overall we need to, as older adults, need to be sharing more of our own struggles and how we got through that, what really helped us, because what they got from one author, they might not have gotten from another,
Mhm.
right? I'm very anchored in my faith as well, and that's a big piece of my message. And then there are others that, did a lot of therapy to get through it.
Mhm.
So I think it's going to help with hearing different messages. And the more we talk, especially as people that they look up to, the easier it's going to be for them to deal with it and know that they're not alone.
I think that that's interesting generational approach. I finished college in the 70s, and that was a time when we were saying, don't trust anyone over 30 or something, over 25. I don't know. It was too young to stop trusting people, I would say. But I often felt deprived of that wisdom. I think my parents' generation wasn't used to conveying so much of it. I mean, there were certain rules that they had that they felt were the wisdom, but they had learned so much from life experiences. And there was, at least in my family anyway, there was a fear of sharing too much.
Absolutely.
They didn't want you to know some of the struggles they had been through. And maybe it was shame, or maybe it was, this doesn't concern you kind of behavior.
Yeah.
But I like your approach to it. And I've tried to do that with my own children, to
Yeah.
share how I got through things. And sometimes it's really come in handy, not
Yes.
knowing what to say otherwise. So,
Yeah. Yeah. I just think they need to know that we're all human, no matter what. We're just older,
mhm,
had more experiences, right?
yeah,
And the more we talk about them and we let them know, totally understand what you're going through, and here's why I understand that.
yeah,
Um, Especially, unfortunately, right now we have something else we're dealing with social media, where all they're seeing, especially in their peers, appears that everybody else has got it figured out but them.
yeah,
So there's a lot of comparison and a lot of loneliness.
yeah. A lot of deception, absolutely.
Yeah.
You think someone has it better, and then the next thing you know, they don't have it better.
Yeah.
And it must cause so much mental disturbance to try to figure out how people can put on that appearance, even though the reality is very different.
Yeah.
So many media selves and versus the real self.
Right.
Is there a
Right.
way that you and your daughter learned to help after going through those very difficult circumstances? How can you support a young adult who may be silently struggling with grief or depression? What's some advice that you have?
Again, I think they need to know that they're not alone, and that more of them are dealing with it than they know. Right. I was talking to, as a matter of fact, a prospective author for this next book, and she was saying to me, she's had a lot of loss, so she would want to talk about how to handle grief. And she said, but I don't think they've had any of that yet. And I said, oh, you would be so surprised,
Mhm.
because they've had a lot. Unfortunately, they've grown up in a culture where suicide's become a thing.
Yeah.
And mass shootings, all the losing parents, parents getting divorced, drug addicted family members. I mean, they've got a lot more. And I think they're having to grow up a lot faster than we had to. So I think that they need to know that we understand that they're dealing with some stuff.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I remember my parents did everything they could to shield us from hearing
Yep.
about anything. And they were medical professionals. They wouldn't even say the word cancer out loud. They called it a CA. And, and it took me many years to understand what that meant. And that was their intention, that
Yeah.
I not know, because they had to talk about things at
Right.
home. But
Right.
probably at this point, there is so much of information available, a lot of it misinformation. I think it's probably wiser to be able to discuss these things in the open, rather
Right.
than get that street information, which is not going to
Right.
help
Yeah.
you.
Yeah, a lot of these experts, Deborah,
Mhm,
that I'm telling you that I want to bring into the community to
mhm,
pour into these guys. I love these people because they are big thought leaders and they are very open to sharing their stories of what they've been through.
mhm.
One of them, as a matter of fact, I'll just mention him real quick. His name is David Meltzer. David is a multi-millionaire entrepreneur, has his hands in a lot of things. He's all over social media and he's a motivational speaker. But what I love about Dave is the first time I heard him speak, he shared a story how he lost everything, almost his family, but like everything, lost his mother's house that he bought for her, lost all the assets that they had, and he actually started crying on stage. I was
Wow.
like, okay, I love this man. So,
Mhm.
and because of that, he has a huge young adult following, Deborah.
Yeah.
They love him.
Yeah. Yeah, vulnerability seems to be key to getting through to people of all
Yeah.
ages, but I think particularly that age group because the culture must require them to be so strong, and not reveal any feelings. But if you see an adult cry on stage, that's a pretty powerful image for you.
An adult male
Yeah,
to boot. So,
exactly.
so I hired him on the spot to be a mentor of mine. Now he's become a good friend of mine.
Mhm,
He's all behind this young adult community that we're building. He's put me on his show a couple times. I mean,
mhm.
he's an amazing man and as humble as they come, which
Yeah.
also helps.
Now that puts him in a special category because I know that many parents want to help their kids, but the younger adults often want autonomy. They want to start out on their own lives already and
Mm.
not be controlled. Is there any practical advice you can give parents or caregivers who want to be supportive without taking away that autonomy, without becoming intrusive? How do you do that?
Well, I think I'll share one chapter that from my daughter and I's book, Keep Looking Up. We talked a lot about how when somebody's going through something, this is not about you. So, and I'll use this example because I think this will clear it up. So when we lost my husband, um, we had family members in the house, but we wanted nobody else around.
Mhm.
And that was very hard for a lot of our friends because what they wanted to do was to come sit with us and hug on us and circle up around us and just all the things, and we just couldn't handle that,
Yeah.
especially my daughter. So at our my husband's memorial service, we had over 200 people there, and of course everybody was hugging us and crying. And well, my daughter, and she says this in the book, she had a complete panic attack and went to the bathroom and stayed there for a long time because it was just too much,
Yeah.
right? So what we have to remember is when we're dealing with somebody and they're going through something, it's not about what you would need, it's doing it the way they need it,
Mhm.
as hard as that can be, right?
Yeah.
So watch them and ask them, how can I best? Here's a really good question somebody asked me after my son passed. She said, I don't know what to say to you right now. So I want to know what the best thing is that I can do for you. So you're going to have to coach me through this.
Hmm.
And I thought, that is the most lovely thing I've ever heard, right?
Yeah.
She wasn't asking to bring food. That was another thing. We made sure that we didn't want all this food at our door. Right? But that's what people do.
Exactly. Yeah.
So I think you really have to ask, how can I support you and what do you really need right now?
Mhm.
And watch how they're responding to how people are trying to project things onto them that's not working for them.
Yeah, that's very, very sensitive. I think at every funeral, people are not sure what to do or how to behave and what to
Yep.
say. But in a situation like the one you were facing, it's especially important to keep some boundary around their feelings and protect
Right.
the people who are living through it.
Yeah.
So I'm very glad that you offered that.
Yeah.
Now, this has been a great half hour. Went by too fast for me, and I have a million questions. But at this point, I'd like to ask you, is there um, a special thought that you want to leave with the audience before we talk a little bit about your books?
I think more than ever, especially coming from my own experience right now, right? Because I live alone. We're in the middle of the holidays and it can get very lonely and you start to feel like the rest of the world is still going on and you're not.
Mhm.
And I just want to really encourage everybody to know that when you are a little bit more transparent about what you're going through with somebody who's safe, that's another chapter in our book,
Mhm.
um, you will find that everybody's going through something. Everybody's going through something. And thank goodness, most of the time it's temporary,
Yeah.
right? So just don't be afraid to reach out and talk to somebody, whether it's somebody, family member that you trust, professional. I've hired mentors that are just areas of expertise for me that I need. I know that I know I need help in. So just don't isolate.
That's very powerful. I think everybody's going through something, and you never know what the other person's going through until you've been through it yourself either.
Right.
So, respecting both boundaries, but also offering that compassion, where it can be helpful. That's so, so very important.
Right. Right.
So I'm sure that a lot of listeners will want to get in touch with you and want to find out more about what you've done. So could you share a bit about, we're going to put all this in the show notes, but
Sure.
a couple of your top references that you'd like us
Yeah.
to be aware of?
I do have a website. It's just my name, careyconley.com. You can read a little bit more about my story there. The books are listed there that you can find and order.
Mhm.
Um, we will start announcing my young adult community once we get that officially foundationally figured out. We've got an idea of the foundation, Deborah, because we've kind of started it. But I have a feeling that once we start getting these young adults in, they're going to tell me how they want it to go down, and I'm good with that,
Right.
right? So, um, but I do have a workbook for those people who have never written a vision, and you want to write one like you've never written it before. That'll actually you'll take steps on. It's called Vision is Victory, and I know you've got the link to the ebook that they can get that for free and download it. So, yeah, there you go.
That's great. I know this is all going to be tremendously helpful to people, and I bet you'll find some older adults peeking in just to see what's going on so
Well,
that they can be more helpful.
so and I have a feeling, so I'm a speaker also,
Mhm.
and a lot of the groups that I speak in front of are mostly a lot of female networking groups I'm in. And I talk about vision, how it pertains to their business, Deborah, and how it helps them make money and create a business plan, become a better leader. But when I talk about the young adult thing, that's the thing they run to the back of the room and talk to me about
Mm.
because they're parents
Yep.
and they're concerned. So it's not just going to be for the young adults. I imagine a lot of family members are going to be in there.
Yeah. We all need to know more. We
We
can
do.
always do better if we find out some more. So
Thank
I so appreciate this interview today, and I wish
you.
you much success. And I hope you'll come back after the community is built so we can hear more about how that evolved.
Yeah,
Carey
I would love
Conley,
to.
thank you so very much for being here.
Thank you, Deborah. I enjoyed it.
Thank you for joining me today on the Share Giving Secret. I love sharing insights and stories to empower you on your caregiving journey. If you like what you hear, you can dive deeper by picking up a copy of my pamphlet, Non-Negotiables for Caregivers. Go to my website, deborahgreenhut.com, and click on the link for Non-Negotiables for Caregivers. Until next time, keep sharing, keep caring, and remember, you're not alone on this journey. Thank you for listening.